Hello everyone, Tim and Gaming, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my Call of Duty Black Ops 2 gameplay commentaries. Now today's commentary is inspired by a comment I got on a video about a week ago. You know, I just uploaded the video and a guy asked me a question: do you ever use silencers? And I immediately answered no, I don't use silencers pretty much at all. But when I actually sat down and had a think about it, there are a couple of situations when I would actively go out and choose to use a silencer, and this gameplay is going to be a little bit about that. But before I dive into the commentary, I just want to tell you a little bit about the class I'm using. As you can see, I'm using the Vector, and I'm using it with primary gunfighter with fast mags, silencer, and a laser sight. And this is a really good weapon to use silenced. I'm going to get onto the reasons why in a little bit of time, but you know, this is a fantastic setup to use, and I think my perks are hardline, toughness, dexterity. You know, the basic three. I absolutely love that perk setup. I use it loads and loads and loads. It is fantastic if you haven't tried it out. But moving on to the meat of the commentary, there's only really a couple of times where I'd choose to use a silencer, and the vast majority of the time it's with a weapon which is very accurate, and it tends to be a low damage weapon. Because if you think about the effect of a silencer, with every single weapon you put a silencer on, you get a quite significant range drop off. Now, if you're using a silencer on a weapon which is powerful, that's going to be incredibly noticeable. So if you're using it on an assault rifle, which is a relatively slow firing but high damage assault rifle, you are practically wiping out your benefit, because in that situation your weapon is strongest over mid-range, where your high damage can really make a difference. So you don't want to be nerfing that by putting a silencer on and getting quite a significant range drop off. So whenever I choose to use a silencer, it's with normally a very accurate weapon which happens to be low damage as well. And a great example of this is the M27. I absolutely love using a silencer on that because it's not the most powerful weapon in the world, but using a silencer on isn't really going to change anything about that. If you think about it, the M27's main strengths are its accuracy. It is an incredibly accurate weapon, and if you're running a silencer, the chances are you're not going to be running into too many head-to-head gunfights. You're going to be flanking, you're going to be a little bit more sneaky, and you're going to catch people by surprise. So putting a silencer on a weapon like the M27 really isn't an impediment to its use, because it's already a comparatively weak assault rifle in terms of damage. I really like the weapon. I'm not saying it's underpowered or anything, but its niche is to be accurate. And, you know, it doesn't really rely on heavy damage getting its kills. It relies on nice accuracy, good controllability, and accurate fire. And those are the sorts of weapons that I love to put a silencer on, because they suffer really no downside from using it. If you whack it on that really powerful assault rifle with high rate of fire, you're going to struggle, because you know, that weapon relies on its high damage to get you kills. If you put a silencer on, that damage is going to be drastically reduced, and you're going to struggle to kill people over mid-range. However, as you can see from this gameplay here, you know, the Vector's another example of this. It's an extremely accurate weapon, especially up to mid-range, you know, because it's so accurate, you can kill people relatively easy at mid-range, and you see lots of kills in this gameplay where I just get my sights up nice and early, and I take a guy out over mid-range with really very little problem whatsoever. So this is the sort of weapon you should be looking to use a silencer on. Don't use one on a high damage weapon, because you're really taking away from its strengths there. Use it on a weapon which is already a little bit weaker, because the range drop off isn't really too much of a factor there. You can just remain accurate and get kills that way. So that's when I'd like to use a silencer in a public match. And you know, in this gameplay I use it as a little bit of a slayer role. You know, I'm not plunging on objectives straight away, I'm flanking around the edge of them. I'm making sure the approach routes to the objectives are clear, because when you're running a silencer, your one-on-one gunfight potential is drastically reduced. And you saw that last death there. You know, if I'd had an unsilenced weapon, chances are I would have killed that guy, but because I had that silencer on, my damage output's just a teensy bit reduced, and the guy manages to drop me. So you're looking to use the flank routes of the map, you're looking to move around the map a lot more cleverly instead of just bull rushing forward, because you want to meet the vast majority of your enemies at the back. Like this guy here, I shot him in the back, didn't quite get the kill, I managed to C4 him nice and easy. He didn't even land a shot on me. And this is what you are really aiming to do with a silenced weapon. Whenever I push a gunfight head on, I lose it like that. So you've got to be a little bit more cunning when using a silencer. But I find accurate weapons like this, you can see on that kill there, great example. The damage drop-off isn't a problem at all, as long as you don't get caught with too many people head-on, because that's when you start to lose gunfights. But when I just turned the corner, the guy was slightly distracted, I had a nice accurate weapon, and I dropped him before he could even get a bullet on me. So this is the real strength of the silencer, and this is how I'd recommend you use it. What I like to do when I'm using a silenced weapon is do laps of important locations. So if I'm playing domination, I'll do laps of B-dom, or if I'm playing hardpoint, I'll do laps of the hardpoint like I'm doing now, and I'll try and catch people slightly unawares and approach them from unusual angles to maximise the effect of my weapon. And this is how I'd recommend using it. But I've had another question on a very, very related topic, and that is, would you recommend using a silencer in league play? And I see so many people use silencers in league play, and I'm really, really surprised by it, because if you think about it, a lot of people see a silencer as a bit of a safety blanket, you know. It doesn't particularly matter if you're a bit wayward with your accuracy or whatever, because a silencer will be nice and comforting, and you won't show up on the radar and you'll be fine. But in league play, it's really not worth it at all, because if you're up against a very, very good team, or even just a team in general, they're going to shout you out. So it doesn't matter that you're not appearing on the radar, because as soon as you kill a guy, a coordinated team will immediately go, right, he's top or red, or he's in money, or whatever call out you want, and you'll be immediately pinned. And as I've mentioned before, the major downside with running a silencer is its damage drop-off. So you're going to have a weapon which is much less effective in a one-on-one gunfight. And when you're playing, for example, a mode like Search and Destroy, it's all about getting that first bullet on early and getting the kill nice and early. If you have a silenced weapon, you can get that first bullet and still lose the gunfight for basically no benefit at all. Because, like I've explained, if you're up against a good team, they'll shout you out anyway. But even if you're not up against a good team and you choose not to run a silencer, if you pull your trigger in a Search and Destroy game mode or any other game mode in a 4v4 situation, which League play is, yes, you'll appear on the radar, but there's only 4 enemies on the map. You're shooting at one of them. If you kill him, there's only going to be 3 enemies on the map. But what are the chances of that enemy being close enough to catch you by surprise and to come and flank you quickly enough without you being ready? So you pull a trigger, you kill a guy, there's only 3 enemies left on that team, they won't be able to get to you quickly enough to maximise their advantage of knowing where they are. So you can quickly change position, you can flank a little bit, you can move to the next head glitch and catch them unawares. So there's really no benefit to running a silencer in League play. You have a massive damage drop off, the enemy team are going to call you out anyway, and even if you do run a silencer, there's not enough enemies on the map to catch by surprise. So the chances are you're going to continually run into one-on-one gunfight after one-on-one gunfight. And in that situation, you need your weapon to have plenty of damage to ensure that you don't get caught with your pants down and you can kill guys nice and easy. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the commentary. This is answering a couple of questions I've had asked of me recently, and this is how I would set up to run silencers, you know, with a class like this, in a game mode like Hardpoint. And as you can see from the final score, it's 50-8. It's a really good gameplay, but be very, very careful. You're not going to be as powerful in the one-on-one gunfight. You can't just aimlessly bull rush objectives. You've got to be a little bit more careful with your movement, but if you do that with the right weapon, you can get very, very good gameplays like this. So guys, once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and as always, have a great day.